Hello and welcome to another Trades and Tutorials video. This is Jeff Bish, president of MarketGauge.com, and in this video, once again, I am going to try and make your trading life a little easier by the plan still needs to be approved, but it is the most solid agreement that Greece has and the EU have come to in terms of figuring out their bailout situation. So as you can see, the initial reaction was quite positive. Greece gapped up about 5%, but during the course of yesterday, it wound up closing down almost 5%. So when you have a big event day like this, it's a great opportunity to take a look around and find more opportunities. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to basically bracket in this day, and this is going to be an important day. So before I even go look at any other ETFs, there's a couple things that come to mind. The whole, EU has been under this fog as a result of this Greek unknown. Now, the unknown isn't done yet. All right, there's still situations that could arise where this good news, if we want to call it that, or this progress, we could certainly call it, could fall apart, or it could be perceived as even better than expected. But the point here is that there was a big change in reality on this day. So what you do when you have when a big news event like that is you bracket in the day. And when I say bracket in the day, what you don't want to see is what we see here with Greece. You don't want to see markets that reacted somewhat positively fall back and go lower. If you want to find the markets that are going to continue higher on that change or news, then you look for the stocks that are moving higher. Now, before I even look at anything, there'd be a couple countries that would immediately come to mind for me. One would be Spain, the other would be Italy, because they're often discussed as being kind of the next ones on the list in terms of risk for the EU, and see how they look and how they reacted. And then the other thing I would look at is, what are there any stocks or ETFs out there that have been strong but were just kind of dragged down by Greece? And of course, I'd want to look at Germany. All right, so I know this probably isn't fair, but I have a really easy way that I can do this, and it makes the video faster. So for you, so I'm going to show you what I can look at. So I've got this product here at Market Gauge that is the ETF Complete Portfolio, and it's got a component to it right now where I can see the ETFs in Europe, and we can see the phases here, which you can learn more about if you go to the marketgauge.com/tutorial section. But I'll explain them in a second. So I can see which markets are already bullish, which ones are kind of rolling over bullish, that's warning, and which ones are just downright bearish, which is, you can see, Greece, bottom of the barrel there. And this ranking here is a proprietary TSI ranking, which is a strength ranking. But the reason I bring this up is because I can quickly see that the only country that's in a bullish condition in this day is Belgium. So I'd want to check that one out and see how that's doing. And then the other thing that this list brings to mind is, as I said, the whole EU is kind of in a funk over Greece. A good time now would be a good time to see whether or not, if you don't want to pick which countries might react positively, you've got this ETF, which is a much broader ETF on Europe, hedge, and let's see how that's doing. So point is, big news event day, that's the day you want to bracket in that day, and let's go see what's going on in those areas. So as I said before, the first thing I would have looked at was would be Italy and Spain. So ironically, right, this is yesterday. Italy didn't move much on the Greece news. It had already moved. So we didn't get much of a reaction to that. I'd still bracket it in here, but there's nothing really compelling that news created for. Not what I would have expected, but that's the case. Now let's take a look at Spain. Same thing, right? Because this is the day that the news came out. Um, and although they're 6 hours ahead, so maybe this traded. Nonetheless, I would be bracketing it in like this, all right? And again, where are we in the big picture here? Are we in a situation that makes for an easy trade? No, not really. If anything, the trade would be that it comes back down, but given this bottom, there's nothing easy there. So let's go to the one that was actually strong before, Belgium. Now, I don't know what the relationship really is between Belgium and Greece, but what I do know is that Greece has, as I said, been kind of a thorn in everybody's side, and if that thorn has now been removed, is there a country that looks like it could now be kind of lifted and free to do its own thing? Belgium looks like exactly that situation. So back up over the 50, and it's continuing to move higher. So from a trade perspective, this makes for an interesting setup where you could be buyer above that bracketed area, and then a stop underneath the lows of this day with plenty of room under it. All right. And the reason that, or the expectation would be that given this overall chart, what it's basically done is come down to the 200, and you're looking for the overall trend to continue higher. Is it perfect? No, but that's the kind of setup that it'd look for, and certainly is better than a Italy or a Spain so far. So now let's take a look at the whole of Europe. Or actually, let's look at Germany first. Germany is interesting, right? You'd expect Germany to react. So Germany is interesting in that it can be bracketed in, but again, it's kind of pinched between the 50, the 200. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere at this point. So I don't see an easy trade there. So let's go to the whole continent. All right, so here we have Europe hedged. Now we're getting something that's interesting. Why? Now, I don't think that today is necessarily the day, but you can see that it gapped up, and today it's moving higher, not lower, as Greece is moving lower. It's actually making progress. Now, this is hedged, so it's hedged, so it's not a function of the currency. The reason that this is interesting is because we're crossing the 50, and we're also getting close to this trend line from the highs, which you can see has been not only a pretty good trend line, but its parallel has been pretty good at defining the way the market has acted. So I would keep an eye on hedged here to look for some consolidation around the 50 to establish a good level of a stop with a look for a break higher. All right. Now, all this begins with, as I said, looking at the catalyst of a big news event, which was the Greek day. So, hope that helps. Hope that helps you figure out, how you can quickly look for trading opportunities when we've got a big event, and you use that big event to pretty much set your parameters for your stops and find a good trade. Hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.